Hey everybody, it's just me, Marty, the JavaScript party. Rhett, I don't think wants to come in here. I think she is truly enjoying watching a movie with my wife right now. They have been binging the Twilight movies because Netflix made them available. We are big. We love Netflix. We liked Netflix a lot early, even in the very very first days of it, because we used to get our little DVDs in the mail, and then drop a DVD in the mail. Because the thing was that there was this other company called Blockbuster Video that was awesome. Like it was this great company. It was like one of the best things on a Friday was to go like to the Blockbuster and go pick out a movie, and then you'd grab a movie and you'd hold it because you knew you were going to get like 2 or 3 movies for the weekend, and that would cost you like $7 to rent 3 movies or something. And then you would hold a movie, and then like if you found a better movie, then you'd grab the other movie, and then you'd put the movie back. So you just kind of keep walking around, because like movies, everyone did that. So like movies would show up, and then they'd disappear, and then they'd be back again, and then they would be gone, and just like it was just fun. It was just really really neat, and it was inexpensive. But the problem was is that Blockbuster was just they were awful when it came to like lying about you not returning things on time, or saying that you didn't rewind it when you did rewind it, and charging you fees, and then like sending bill collectors on you, like, and saying, oh, like 4 years ago you checked out a movie and you never returned it, or so, and it's just like, wait, I go there every week. I've been going there every week. Just they were just really, they just did a really bad job with their debt collecting, and it just made it just a hated company. Like people just hated it. So then Netflix came out, and they would just mail it to you, and you could hold it as long as you want. You could have, I think the very first Netflix thing was $10 a month, and you could have 2 movies at your house at any given time. So you could have one that you like to watch over and over again, and then you could have another one that you just keep mailing back and getting one, and then and it was awesome. Like it was such a great improvement. And then when the video first came out, like the streaming, it was awesome because like you never heard of any movie. Like you would log in there and you never heard of a single movie that they were presenting, but every movie you watched was just like, holy crap, that was a great movie. Now it's sort of the opposite. Like you see all the movies, you know of them, you've heard of them, and they're all like big blockbuster movies and stuff. But like you're like, yeah, that's not that great. I really preferred it the way it was. They had like a early on, they had like this AI that just could tell exactly what you would want, and then you just get this little weird movie that some third party small organization would build, and you'd just be like, damn, that was good. That was really really good. And I think they had a pretty good, whatever their early system was, had a pretty good like understanding what your tolerances were. Like if you didn't really care that the costumes weren't great, or that the theme wasn't, the time wasn't right, or like whatever, they could just tell the things that weren't going to bother you, things that would bother you, and then they could just present movies that you'd really enjoy watching. But it's still, I think, kind of like the best thing out there right now. Like we probably watch Netflix every night from 7 to 9 p.m. And we just mostly watch TV series. We have like at any given time anywhere between 8 and 15 series that we sort of just watch back to back to back, and then like as we try to go to bed at 9 p.m. So like when it gets to be about 8:30, usually we try to pick out like a something that is like 30 minutes long, and then like when we first sit down at around 7, we usually try to pick one of the longer ones, but and then we just try to watch whatever has been the longest since we watched it that fits in the time we want. So it gives us a lot of control, and it's really nice. But what do I have here? So basically, we're at the API screen, and we got this cool table, and it's easy to read because we got these colors, and we see that every single one of these things says expected and bound. So nothing has changed in the API since the last time we looked, and We have this, but it would be nice if that was an icon. And I think expected and found is a green check mark is what we would like. And I don't know exactly how we're going to do that. So let's figure it out together. Um, let's see. API component.html. So basically I have a component that goes with each one of these tabs. And this is our API component. And it's just a table. And we have 2 columns. So this looks weird to me because I came up with tables. So like if you go to our discrete, I believe I have a table in there. And this is kind of what I was used to. A table with TRs and all that. Now I don't know if like a modern child of Angular, like someone who kind of just grew up and learned in Angular, if this seems natural, to me it seems very unnatural. But basically you define your columns and then you define this stuff. And it was a bit of a challenge getting it working. That was the least challenging, getting this working, but it was probably like maybe the 8th or 9th time I've gotten it working. I think I think the problem with Mat Table is that like the minimum criteria to just get it running is like 5 things. Like you have to have 5 things set or it just doesn't work at all. And it would be kind of nice if like you could get something sort of printing and then you add it on, but it's just like 5 things are broken and you got to get all 5 things before you get anything. So I think that is the problem. But so we have this API property type, and we don't really want the type. What we want is we want an icon. So first thing I want to do is I want to sort of put this on different lines. Particularly in the HTML and especially in the tabs. I'm a strong advocate of putting these on different lines. And the biggest reason I like to have things on different lines is just because of Git. When you're working with a large number of people, you tend to want to put a bunch of, like, especially like, you'll end up all working on the same things at the same time. And if you can get these things on different lines, then your likelihood of a Git conflict, or your ability to go see where let's say there's another pull request out there and they've made some changes and you have it set up kind of like this, well then your ability to find a place to write your code in there that doesn't conflict with somebody else's code is a lot better if you've done things sort of like this where it spans across lines, because Git cares about lines, what is on every line. So you just have a lot more entry points to writing code. Now sometimes making these sorts of formatting changes, while they shouldn't, sometimes they do have impacts. And I would say if it's already, like, let's say, see how I'm just going through and changing a bunch of them, I would not change anything if it's already committed that you don't touch. It can be very, very confusing to find, bugs that went into other builds if like a ton of code that didn't actually that only had formatting changes did. And if you if you absolutely must make a formatting change to everything, do that in its own formatting change commit, like, so that you can just, if something is broken and you can't figure out what it is, you can at least say, okay, this was only supposed to have format changes. Did it break during the format changes? Like, that just makes life a lot easier for everybody if it's in its own commit. But everything seems to be good, and what we want is a checkbox here. Now, we don't always want it to be a checkbox, and we do have like, but for now they're all correct. So let's just go ahead and put a thumb or a checkbox. Let's say in Angular material how can I make a green checkbox icon? Hopefully it just gives us the information. Let's try it out. Sometimes this works, sometimes it doesn't. It just depends on whether, yeah, so I do not have this. Let's see, does it tell me? Yeah, did not. So matte icon is not loaded, so we need to do this. Now, I can never figure out what I like. I think I like it to, so the mistake I make all the time is I will come in here and I'll see that this is broken, and then I'll go and I'll fix it in the API, and then I'll reload. And then it's like, but I don't really like to see it broken. But I don't know. So I'm just going to come in here. And so I want matte checkbox module. And so I know that, let me move these onto their own lines too. So imports is another really important place to put on different lines. Because, and the reason is because there's another place where it is just very notorious to have Git conflicts on your imports. I've never worked at a place where we had a version of Angular that was new enough to have standalone components, but I suspect that in places like that, they probably have Git conflicts there all the time. So putting those on different lines is probably a important thing. So let's say, let's just guess. I'm going to guess. Let's do some guessing. Let's play the guessing game. Matte icon module. And let's see if it knows what that is. It's like, I don't know what that is. So we did do it at the app level, I think. Or maybe it was inside of, let's see what our components look like. Count indicator API. That's probably this guy. It's probably where we did it. Done it. We did it. Do. Oh, we did get it right. Matte icon module. WTF? I don't understand. Why I couldn't find that. Let's see. And then use that. And so that's exactly what we want for expected and bound. So it'd be pretty fun and interesting to just create like a directive or something, or a small component or something that handles these. But you know what? I just want to put the, let's just try it on. Let's just try it on with just the, well, we definitely want to do class. This is equal to green for now. I can't even remember what the color oh, okay, so. Now, how did we do this one? Because we probably should use the exact same green as that one. Just, I think that's what you want. Although I do like the way it looks. It might be the same green. But let's see if we have like a common style or something that we set up over there. So I had class positive and class negative. And then this is the color that we used. So, you know, if this was a huge application, we definitely would want to sort of make these a little bit more consistent. So we'd want to add this like at a higher level. But since think we'll do kind of go with the exact same. Just I don't know. I don't have a good answer for this. Feel like we should put this in a style that is higher up, or at least maybe the color as a variable or something. But I think this is literally like the only place because we don't have like I don't think we're gonna have we don't have any other thing. I do know we use the color green over here. Um, yeah, I just don't think it's worth the overhead of setting that up for just the very few places that we're going to be using this. I might end up regretting that, but I don't think so. Um, let's alt tab this back, and then let's go ahead and we're going to call this positive. Just see if that works. I think it should work. Yeah, that worked. All right. So we only want this if it is a property type of expected and found, right? And that's easy enough to just add as a how do you do that? You go percentage at if. I think this is how you do this. And then we got API properties dot type is equal to, I wonder if it's going to help me with this. I wonder if I put single quotes. See, there's only three possible types that this can be: expected and found, unexpected, and okay. Okay, so now let's just go ahead and get rid of this. Now what I don't know is I think I can do else if. And then it's unexpected, I think. Expected. So let's just double check that. What the three things are. API. Okay. Oh, we did create a colors for the colors that I wanted to use. And I think I also wanted to have like the icons in there too. But did I want to? I don't know. Maybe that, yeah, we'll kind of, this is probably not the time to make decisions about that. Not expected. And the icon is, I feel like that I might have been trying to, so what is the icon for a question mark? help, help outline, live help. So let's change that to help. I'm just going to call it, since we went positive and negative, we'll just say neutral. Neutral. It's spelled. Let's go to our styles. Now, I really don't know if I'm going to want to use the, if these are the same colors. I don't think I want to, I don't think I right now I'm leaning towards just getting ready away from this whole concept. I just feel like it is over, it is a bit over engineering, but maybe, you know, like for learning purposes, it makes sense to over engineer it. Is that yellow? No, that was red. Let's see, must be this one. Oh, it was like an orange color. That's right. Yeah, I'm gonna decide tomorrow. Right now, I'm like a little bit too like emotionally vested in finishing this for no apparent reason. I think it's just because my last video went so long. Color, and that's a silly time to make any kind of decision like that. Neutral, help. And so this is if it wasn't expected. So in order for me to test this, I'm just going to add a 0, 0, right? I think that's what we did last time. And then I guess in order to test the other one, well, now let's just test this one first. Let's just do it a step at a time. Where's our 0, 0, 0? 0, 0, 0 got nothing. Oh, because that is the opposite. Okay, so let's try grammars. Grammars is right down here. So let's go ahead and get rid of grammars. Expected and... No, that was unexpected, right? Gosh darn it. Why? Should have worked. Let's see. API property dot type. Expected and not found. That should be negative. We expected it and not found. Yeah, that's right. And that's going to be negative. And we want that to be an X. Okay, so let's ask ChatGPT. Close. kind of want it to be like a little bit, but I think that's fine. That's fine. It's perfectly fine. Okay, so now let's go ahead and get rid of our grammars. And that was down here. It'd have been kind of nice. So this is what was not expected. We're like, what the hell? What the hell? Okay, now we'll go back to... So basically now in the future, well, you know what? I want to see it without the... I know I'm being a dork now. Yeah, see, I think that looks so nice. And I think it'll really hop out, like if there's something that is there that, like, let's say, yeah, let's say that continuous is just gone, or construct, or add event. Well, like, what's something that could be gone? Lang, like that could become language or something, or max alternatives. Like, let's say that's gone, and we see that, like, let's say they changed lang to language, and then we see that what would be neat about that is they'd be right next to each other, and we would see a question mark next to one and the red X next to the other one. So I think that would be just perfect. Perfection. So that is fun. And I think, okay, so here's the question that I'm facing now is, do I want to go back and make this work? So go and get the colors and then use the colors from this to draw this, and then maybe even get the name of the icon and have that in there, and have like a dynamic style, or have maybe a directive that does it. I don't think so. At this point, I'm like, no, let's just be done. Let's be done with API and move on to continuous. Continuous is going to be a lot more interesting than API. And I mean, really, like, there's a million tutorials that show how to do directives. There's a million, like, this would not be the tutorial to learn how to do. Even if we do grind through that and get that working tomorrow, or get this other stuff working, like, it's not particularly valuable. So what I'm going to do is, not for our things, is I'm going to find... So we still need expected type. I don't think color... Actually, I guess this is it, though. I think all we need to do is clean that. To clean this up is just get rid of that. And then just check in our console, see if we have any kind of funny stuff. Okay, so we do have something on the speech service on line 64. Let's go ahead and get rid of that. I don't think I want that console. Clean that up a little bit. And then let's go ahead and look in our console again, see if there's anything. I don't think there's anything anymore. Let's just do our commit, see if we can just do a nice clean commit. That makes sense. That makes sense. Probably would do that in its own. There's no reason not to do this in its own commit. Wait. Okay, that's old. It's all old stuff. Yeah, I'll probably do that in its own commit. I think all the rest of this stuff. Doesn't look like we need this at all anymore. This does work a lot different than, I'd sort of initially envisioned it, and that happens all the time. I guess we should just put a couple of thought cycles into should get all. Yeah, no, I think get all properties and all that. I think that belongs at the top. Oh, I don't know. Yeah, I think I'm gonna leave it there. I think it does make sense. I think it can easily be argued either way. Now, is found properties? Yeah, that's all figured out here, and property map. Yeah, all that logic is in here. Yeah, I think the argument is pretty good either way. Whether you should do this at this top level service or whether you should do this in the component. So unless there's a really compelling reason to not do it that way, or even a decent reason to not, like, if the argument could go either way, I'd rather go with, hey, this works, let's go with it. If I had a really good reason that didn't have like sort of a counter reason, I think that looks really good. Probably would want to move this onto their own lines since it's the first time. Yeah, my current job, I do it this way. Nobody minds at all. I remember when I worked for the federal government, I used to work with this guy that, like, literally, like, I'm still kind of, it still frustrates me even today to even think about it. But this guy I used to work with used to just, like, literally every meeting he would bring it up again. He'd be like, let's talk about whether we should have a standard where all this stuff goes on one line. And then I would explain why we shouldn't do it that way. And he'd go, oh, okay. And then we'd all vote on it. And everybody would vote against him. And he would even vote against himself. And then literally the next meeting, he would do it again. And it was just like, come on, dude. And like I said, the biggest reason I do this is just in case, just to avoid, it's just a great habit that helps me avoid get conflicts. Um, and avoiding get conflicts is just a very pleasant thing to do. And again, man, there's a lot to be argued to making these, like, value that we pass in and pull in versus styles, but I literally don't think, like, we never used any sort of those sorts of colors in here, and I don't think we'll use any in here. So we just have so few of them. I don't think it's worth that extra overhead. I have definitely worked in places where the way, like, I believe with one of these style shape things, they actually changed how they wanted you to upgrade, like how they wanted you to do your style importing, and so, like, we had to go through thousands and thousands of files to upgrade it just so we could go from, I believe it was like Angular 10 to Angular 11 or Angular 8 to Angular 10 or something like that. And it was just like, so I would hate for us to not be able to upgrade because of that, or for us to get a hitch in the upgrade because of something that we don't even use. Um, all right, so I think all of that makes sense. This was just some styling things. Um, I do think it makes sense to make this its own commit, though. Um, Git status. Okay, so the only change we have, the only change in this one is, okay, dash m styles tables to alternate colors on rows. And if I'm going to end with a period, I'm going to start with a capital. And then I remember I worked at this one place. They paid me a ton of money, but it like they just drove me nuts really quickly. And I actually had caught COVID while I was employed there, and I just like I man, it just really triggered um, my flight mechanism, and so I quit the job. But I remember this guy. He would say, "I'm a real," and he literally would say the F word, and he'd say the literal a whole word when it comes to F and commits, da, 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 da. And it was just like commit, like what your commit messages are and stuff like that. And it was just like, it's not appropriate to talk that way. Like that's just not an appropriate way to talk. Um, but for some reason he thought it was. But he was just such an effing a hole when it came to that kind of stuff. And oh man, he was just like, and it was weird, like it was like one of those things where it was just like hard to work with him because he would sort of just be a jerk sometimes. He would just sort of give himself permission to be a jerk and then just be a jerk. Like, I mean, obviously, we all want to make commit messages in a very consistent way, so it's easier for everyone to understand what's going on. It's in everyone's best interest, and we're all professionals. There was nobody there that didn't want to do a good job. Everyone wanted to do a good job. There was no reason to talk that way. But anyways, let me commit this. Dash m adds or yeah, adds API tab functionality. Okay, so I think once I get started, API tab functionality, and then get status and get push. And my friends, we are done with API. API is awesome. I love it so much. Let's make sure we didn't break discrete. Hello world. English, hello world, 93% thinks I might have said hello world or hello world or hello world. Let's see. Let's try the hard one. Thing, 63% sing. So that is interesting. So I remember last week we looked at this and it gave thing, like when I said thing, it gave it like a 58%, but it made it first. And then sing, it gave it like a 63% and made it second. So I think that in the actual application that I build, so this is literally just a voice analyzer testing thing to learn how to do this stuff. And the actual application that I'm going to build for this, I'm going to have recordings in there. And then hopefully with that, I'll be able to actually create like end-to-end tests that actually plays the recordings and sees what it gets. And that will be cool because then we could actually find out if this, even with the exact same word, if you get different results as time goes by. Because I think I would be very curious about that. But let's try this. Hola. Hola. and only one. See, it never does with like other languages like hola, hola, like it just gives you one. It only does like the one thing, so I wish I could try Japanese hello again, but I already forgot how to do that. Ugichiwa. Ugichiwa. And even if I could say it, I don't think I could recognize the characters. And that's what's going to be so cool about the actual application is I won't have to. It'll be like you were trying to say hello, here are the characters, and then it'll tell me if I matched it or not. And that'll be cool. And then like I'm hoping that like I can get like I think that would be a kind of like do this sort of format but like go live on TikTok with that and try to get people to maybe hop onto Discord or hop onto something with me and we make recordings of them saying the words and upload those as as examples of how to say hello in like all the different languages and stuff like that. But anyways, yeah, we are making good progress. I'll start on continuous tomorrow. I can't, and then yeah, once continuous is done, well, one of the things with continuous is I want to add grammars because I forgot to do grammars on discrete. And then once that, hopefully that gets grammars as well. And then hopefully I can maybe I wonder if I can even maybe I can use the same pop up. And if that is the case, then I could probably, then maybe it'll already have grammars built in because I believe the service that sets up continuous is the same service that sets up discrete. Well, I know it's the same service, but I think it's also the same function. So, you know, like one of the things that might be a feature, there'll probably be a feature some people might say was a bug or whatever, is that like if I have 5 max alternatives on here and I go to continuous, but I don't even know if max alternatives is a thing for continuous. Let's find out. In the voice API browser. There is a max alternatives property. Let's see what it says about that. Oh, yeah, so okay. Okay, so this work for discrete and continuous. Misspelled continuous. UOUS. UOUS. You'll get multiple for a single utterance. Continuous. But browsers may return fewer than requested. Yeah. So yeah, I think max alternatives makes a lot more sense in discrete, and I think if I remember correctly, when I was playing around with this before, what happens is in continuous, it's like constantly updating its results, and so like it's fixing things. I don't know if the max. It'll be interesting to see what that works because like if we look over here, see as we look at we'll find our green one. Um, let's see. We have like different results, and let's see what I remember. There was something in here. Source element, speech recognition, current tag, results. See, I should. It would be kind of nice to have that as a JSON, but I'm wondering if you can. Um, let's see. Logs. Let's go. I haven't even looked at the logs in so long. Logs. See, I don't think there's even a really good way. Well, I do have some sort of like logic in here, because yeah, I do check out that one and then result transcript. And I think this is the one I care about. Is that true? Results. Or yeah, results. So I do something special for results, and this is the one I'm looking at. Um, and I think I could just, it looks like transcript, confidence. What, I guess I could do this like a TR. It's been a minute. A TD, and I could just say call span 2, and then oh, I see. Oh no. Results. Oh. Like that. And I don't know if I have common loaded. Yeah, it looks like I do. I think. Hello. I like that one because I know I'll get a bunch of results back. Let's come back over here. That is so interesting. Oh, so I already do sort of bring that up. 1, 2, 3, and 4. I didn't think before that. I guess we did. We only looked at the one. But yeah, so I think we're good on that already. Yeah, I did a pretty good job back then. All right. So, anyways, tomorrow we begin our final adventure in, well, almost final. We're going to begin continuous, finish that up, and then it might be our final, because if we can also set the grammars, then we'll be good. Then, if we can, like if we end up reusing this modal and have it to where you can set the grammars, then I think it'll make a lot of, then, we'll be done, because discrete will probably, like, all it's grammars isn't, I don't know, probably something we don't need to show. We probably do need to show, or at least have an ability to like mouse over and see what the grammars were for a given result. So anyways, yeah. So continuous is probably not quite the end, but it is the last big piece of work that needs to be done for this tool, and then we need a small piece of work, and then I'll probably, once that's done, I'll probably push this somewhere in the web so that people can use it. and if they want, and then move on. Well, I guess we'll start building an actual application that would be something that people would actually want to use, and maybe something that I can use to drive my TikTok thing. I haven't really tried on my TikTok, but it'd be nice to get really good. It's really hard to get a lot of followers on YouTube, and my YouTube is really more about being like serious coder, not about trying to get trying to make friends and do fun stuff. It's more just about being pretty serious. Anyways, happy coding. Bye.